All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday evening, the 28th of May, 2024, coming up to about 7:30 p.m. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer. After a very busy morning, we now have scattered severe thunderstorms underway across parts of the Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas, the Permian Basin, into the Edwards Plateau. We've got a couple clusters of thunderstorms that have now tried to organize. So far this afternoon, the supercells in their semi-discrete state have produced up to DVD-size hail northwest of Leveland in West Texas. That is 5 inches in diameter. Yeah, DVD-size hail. Other storms have produced golf ball to softball-size hail. Very efficient hail producers. We're starting to see some upscale organization into clusters now, which will increase some of the damaging wind threat. We've got one cluster in the northwestern Texas Panhandle. We have one cluster coming off the Caprock in the eastern Texas Panhandle, kind of West Texas. Third cluster, Edwards Plateau, moving towards the hill country, and a fourth cluster in northern Mexico coming off the higher terrain there. Notice eastern half of the state, behind our storms this morning, it is quiet so far this afternoon, this evening, minus a few storms several hours ago in DFW that had some lightning and small hail. As we continue through the evening hours, here's what the high-res rapid refresh model thinks. Like I mentioned this morning, like 20 minutes before we got hit by Bo Echo of Doom here in DFW, the models are not going to handle the specific placement and timing of these systems well, just because there's so many different factors at play. You know, outflow boundaries, remnants from this morning's storms, all that. So the reason I'm showing you this is to kind of explain what we think is going to happen, but please understand the visual part of this may be off. The audible part I'm giving you, though, probably going to be more accurate. We're probably going to see one or two of these clusters ongoing in the western half of the state right now organize into another one of these clusters that has increased damaging wind potential. Potential will exist maybe for some of these storms in the Edwards Plateau moving towards parts of south central Texas, the hill country, with strong wind gusts over the next few hours. Those may make it to places like Laredo, San Antonio. Depending on the movement and the exact locations, it may even go as far north as, Austin, then move towards the coastal bend, Corpus Christi, into South Texas overnight, with the potential for the strongest storms. The strongest. Wind gusts over 75 miles an hour, hail, heavy rainfall that could cause flooding. The tornado threat this afternoon has been low. That will continue overnight tonight. But we could still see a few spin-up tornadoes, especially if we see any well-defined bow echoes develop. And then the little curly cues on the front of those lines that can cause some spin-up circulations. Otherwise, we're probably going to see some upscale growth of these storms out in, the Panhandle, Northwest Texas, and West Texas over the next few hours. That means the storms, they're already kind of starting to form into a cluster. That'll likely continue. And then those will probably move southeast tonight into Wednesday morning. Northwest Texas, the big country, Texoma, North Texas. The exact timing, it depends how quickly these storms organize. It may be, late this evening, early tomorrow morning. It could be closer to, 3 to 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. But some of those storms could also have some hail, some strong winds. Now, something working against a repeat of this morning in North Texas is the atmosphere has been stabilized somewhat. Good gravy. But at the same time, we may still see another round of maybe some localized damaging winds, maybe some hail, and of course, any new heavy rain is going to cause flooding. So we'll have to watch for that. That's all we can do at this point. So again, going back over to the real-time radar, you can see we've got a couple different regions of thunderstorms underway. The Panhandle, I'll zoom into those storms real quick. You could see Panhandle, West Texas. Storms kind of trying to organize into a cluster, moving into western Oklahoma, northwest Texas. We still have a few supercells with very large to damaging hail. One approaching southwest Lubbock. Others down near Post and Snyder, with the line itself starting to move off the Caprock into western Oklahoma, northwest Texas. Some of those storms could become severe with damaging winds and hail. Those may move southeast this evening to northwest Texas, the big country, maybe even Texoma in North Texas, several hours or after midnight from now. Down in the Permian Basin, down into the eastern Big Bend, the Edwards Plateau, you can see we've got this cluster. This cluster of storms does look like it is going to move from northern Mexico into the Rio Grande Plains, deep South Texas, South Texas, probably the Rio Grande Valley, maybe even the coastal bend as well. You can actually see the outflow boundary left from this morning's storms sitting here off the Gulf Coast. That's what these storms out here in the Edwards Plateau region are probably going to ride southeast into deep South Texas, the Rio Grande Plains, the Rio Grande Valley. So places like Zapata to Hindenburg, McAllen, Brownsville, you could get storms tonight. Some of those storms will likely be strong to severe with damaging winds, hail, and heavy rainfall. So again, that is the overall expectation of what we're thinking is going to happen tonight. I'll switch back over to the high-res rapid refresh model. So again, yes, more storms tonight possible with strong localized winds and hail. I hope we don't have a repeat of this morning's little hurricane episode in DFW, but some folks may have to deal with something like that, especially, with those storms moving into the Edwards Plateau, deep South Texas tonight, maybe all the way up into the southern hill country, and then maybe some damaging wind hail potential with those storms in northwest Texas, Texoma, North Texas, the eastern panhandle this evening, tonight, into Wednesday morning. So keep an eye on the radar overnight. Just keep an eye on trends, and we'll do the same here at the Texas Storm Chasers. That'll be it for this evening's update. Again, if we need to come back, we will. Otherwise, you can keep an eye on the sky with the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. You can get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radars, and more. And as always, you can find us on the web, texasstormchasers.com. Y'all have a good evening. We'll keep you updated. God bless.